project on YouTube. Pulling up the YouTubes there on the computer. So Kyle, has there been anything interesting on TV lately?
Nothing that I can think of. Mark Hamill said we asked me on Twitter if anybody had watched anything interesting lately.
What's up, YouTubes? Let's get some chat going over here.
Well, we're just doing a little copying here. Okay, I just sent you a link, Mr. Reitzel, on the chat.
All right. All right. I am ready. Ready, YouTube?
What is up, YouTubers? Get through this one more round of the on hold music, as we like to call it around here, and then we will get this thing started.
Say hi to my buddy Dex, who I work with. What's up, Dex?
What's up, Dex? This is the night the reindeer died.
This is my my Aliens ugly Christmas sweater I got from my fiance. Look at that? Yeah.
Well, it's that time. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Without further ado, it's time for Couch Potato Theater Scrooged. Now, bear with us, YouTubers. I did that so you guys knew we were getting started here because we're going to have a little fun right now. So I didn't want you guys to be thrown off here. So in 3, 2, 1.
Acid rain, drug addictions, international terrorism, freeway killers. Now more than ever, it is important to remember the true meaning of Christmas. Don't miss Charles Dickens' immortal classic, Scrooge. Your life might just depend on it.
Not bad, huh?
Welcome to Couch Potato Theater Live here on the Fandom Podcast Network YouTube channel. On Couch Potato Theater, we celebrate our favorite movies. You may own your favorite movies digitally or on physical media. However, when they air on cable TV, you love what you're watching so much, you don't get off that couch, and that is what the definition of our show is all about. I'm Kevin, your host for this Couch Potato Theater, but I'd like to, celebrate not just, all this fun movie stuff that we do. Got to do it together with my buddy, but I want to let you guys know what we're talking about. We are talking about the 1988 Christmas classic, Scrooged. And of course, I can't do this without my fellow Fandom Podcast Network co-founder and my co-host for tonight's Scrooged, Mr. Kyle Wagner. Kyle, are you going over that list? What are you doing?
Yep, definitely a bath towel. For sure, bath towel here. That's not.
You're giving out the Christmas gifts, right? Okay, I got a list for you. Okay, do you mind?
Wait. This is the Fandom Is this the Fandom Podcast Network list?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready for this.
Okay, let's make a good one. Okay, first of all, I'm your co-founder, and you're one of your best friends. So what am I getting off that list?
Well, I thought long and hard about this. I wanted to compliment that shower curtain I got you last year, so you're definitely getting a bath towel.
Not VHS recorder? No?
With that look on your face, man, I will throw in a washcloth for you.
Okay, let's check out the rest of the Fandom Podcast Network family. First of all, let's start with the guys over at Good Evening. What are they going to get?
I'm sending them one VCR, and they can split it and figure out how to make that work.
All right, cool. All right, what about Adam, Lethal Mullet host? What about him? What does he get?
A bath towel with a mullet.
Nice. Okay, now what about our host of over there at Type 40, our Doctor Who podcast, Mr. Dan Hadley? What is he going to get?
Definitely a bath towel, but I am going to make it blue for him at least.
Okay, all right. Now, what about the guys over at What a Piece of Junk, our Star Wars podcast, Scott, Derek, and Nathan? What are those guys going to get off the list?
I thought long and hard about this. They're going to get a VCR, but it's only going to play the original Star Wars Christmas special.
I'll take that one. Can I have? Is there one for me for that? Okay. All right. No, okay. Hold on. Not done yet. Well, first of all, what about one of our Making Treks co-host with Adam, Mark Newbold? What would he get?
That's a tough one. I like Mark. He's going to get a VCR that will play only the original series.
Only the original series. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Now, what about my co-host of Bloody Kings, our Highlander podcast, Lee Fillington? What would he get off that list?
He gets a VCR because he scares me.
That's true. He scares me too. So, yeah. You want to talk about what on Highlander? Sure, you guys win. Okay, now we're missing two important people here, part of the network of they're our fellow co-host of our Union Federation podcast, talking about, of course, Star Trek and the Orville. What about Haley? What would she get?
Haley is getting the full modern 4K setup with a 4K TV, a 4K VCR, if such a thing exists.
4K VCR.
and definitely a 4K exclusive Science Channel in 4K.
Okay, all right. And last, and of course, certainly not least, what about Amy Nelson? What would she get?
Amy's going to get the same entertainment package as Haley, except in her case, it's going to have play only Odette Fear movies, and it's going to come with an extra bottle of Romulan ale.
Odette Ferrer movies
Odette,
only.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. Okay. Of course, he's the one of the new guest stars there on Star Trek Discovery, and of course from the Mummy series. Good. Okay. Cool. And my pick personally for Ramirez for if they ever do a Highlander reboot. So there you go.
Wait. I have one more on the list, Kevin.
Okay. Woohoo. Yeah. Go.
Our good friend Christy Morris, a lifetime supply of Jessica Jones leather jackets.
Nice. Okay. So you sure I can't bump up my towel up to a VCR? Dual deck VCR, maybe? No.
You know what? I'll get you an 8-track.
Fine. I don't have one, so that'll work great. Okay. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us here on the Fandom Podcast Network YouTube live channel. We are in the Christmas spirit, holiday spirit, and we're going to be discussing the 1988 Christmas classic, Scrooged. And I'm holding up an actual laser disc right here of Scrooge that I own. And of course, I have the DVD. I don't know if I have the Blu-ray actually yet, Kyle. So real quick, what do you have? How do you have Scrooge? Is it on digital?
I have it 4K digital, all that. Because you actually, though, if I remember, you took your DVD and converted it to VHS, right?
Yes. It's true. But yeah, this is one of our favorites, and we're going to get into the reasons why here on Couch Potato Theater. But Kyle, I thought turn things over to you and let our YouTube subscribers and our listeners know how they can find us.
Just a sec here. Yeah, Lee, just put the Gatling gun over there. That's fine. We're good. We'll get to that in a minute. Mary Lou, you're good. You're still cute. Just stay over there. Okay, we're good now.
And by the way, if you guys are watching, please join our chat too. We'll yell out anything you want. So there you go.
We're here to have some fun holidays. Fun tonight. So yeah, please join in the chat, take part in it. Obviously, if you're watching us here on YouTube, you know about the Fandom Podcast Network YouTube channel. Please subscribe. That way you can find out about these fun live things we do. And we also put all of our podcasts up on the YouTube channel as well, so you guys can listen to them there. And of course, if you want to just hear our podcast, you can also go to our home at fpnet.podbean.com, where the master feed of all of our shows is at. And of course, a lot of fun things going on there right now. You can also download the Podbean app on your mobile devices and download the feed from there as well. Just search for the Fandom Podcast Network. And of course, too, we're all on all major cut, replace, rewind. We are on all major podcast catchers, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and so many others. You know, we're everywhere. We try to be. We're not Santa Claus. We're not that powerful, but we are in a lot of places. But two, if you're trying to find us on the interwebs, as you will, you can find us on Facebook, our Fandom Podcast Network page, where we try to keep you updated in all things going on in fandom, or having tissues ready for you if you've already watched the final episode of The Mandalorian today as we're recording this.
Oh, is that on?
Yeah. You can also email us. Let us know what you think of how we're doing. Be nice. It is the holidays, but you can email us at fandompodcastnetwork@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Fandom Podcast Network, or on Twitter at FanPod Network. Of course, I'm Kyle. You can find me on Twitter at AKyleW, or if you want to find me on Instagram, it's AKyleFandom. Kevin, where can people find you this holiday season? Are you on the nice list, or are you on the naughty list?
Depends on who you ask.
Wait. No, I have an answer for this. Aaron's been in lockdown for Australia this year, so you've been on the nice list, but not by choice.
Yes, this is true. Yes, yeah. By the way, I find it funny that the Mandalorian season 2 finale and Scrooge have something in common, is they both make me cry. Cry, but in a good way. My name is Kevin. You can find me on the Fandom Podcast Network. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Spartan_Phoenix. And also you can find me on Facebook.
We are everywhere. Of course, there's a couple great ways to support the Fandom Podcast Network. One of those is, of course, to leave us reviews on iTunes. We love those, you know, especially because it gives us feedback, because we're always striving to feed your ears around here. Another one, because this is a live show, you know, sometimes we put the trailer in when we do that, but because it's a live show and people are searching for Christmas presents, Kevin.
Yes, it's true.
And I just had to show off what's behind me here on the camera.
Nice. The Fandom Podcast Network pillow. Nice.
Not from the My Pillow guy, mind you. No, we've the TeePublic, they're doing the last of their holiday sales as we speak. I think this is the final weekend for them. Up to 35 to 40% off certain things. Great t-shirts. Go search Fandom Podcast Network. You can find all the gear there, including the newest shirt for the Fandom Podcast Network, our new YouTube live show, The Fandom Show. We kind of go with a very retro video, old school TV game show look for that show. It's a fun shirt, so check that out. So, Kevin, with that, are you comfortable? Are you in your chair? Do you have your book ready?
I am ready to get Scrooged today. What about you, Kyle?
Well, first of all, you don't have an old British accent, so I don't fully believe you about that. but
I can't pull off everyone's famous old fart, so not yet anyway.
Well, I tell you what, I am ready for some solid gold dancers.
Yeah, we are. Let's get into this. We are here to celebrate Couch Potato Theater Scrooged, one of our favorite Christmas movies of all time, and that's why we wanted to share it here with you guys live on YouTube. But let's get a little bit of plot description. There's not too much to sink your head into here, but Francis Xavier Cross is a cynical, mean-spirited television executive. He treats his loyal assistant with contempt. He just sacked a member of staff on Christmas Eve for simply disagreeing with him. And he's alienated himself from his brother, who still insists on inviting Frank to Christmas dinner, despite him refusing to go every year. However, Frank is forced to learn the true meaning of Christmas when he's visited by 3 ghosts. Now, of course, this is another wonderful take on the classic Charles Dickens classic that we all love seeing many, many times of other different movies, television series. Kyle, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the Hallmark Channel has probably cornered this story in their own way. Wouldn't you say?
In their own way, with either Lacey Chabert or Jennifer Love Hewitt, or
yes.
But no, there's been so many outside of this version, which we're focusing on tonight. What is your favorite version of Scrooge Christmas Carol?
Other than this one, it's got to be the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah, that one's high.
The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah. The Muppet Christmas Carol is very fun. I got a very soft spot for Mickey's Christmas Carol too.
I have another one. I love Patrick Stewart's version as well. Yes, that's good. And I know there's the classic ones that come before it, but it's just one of those timeless formats that you can always have fun with it by doing a little twist with it. And that's what this movie has done with the twist of that classic Charles Dickens Scrooge, which is great, But there's an interesting legacy to this movie. In the year since its release, Scrooge has become a regular television Christmas time feature, with some critics calling it an alternative to traditional Christmas films, and others arguing that Scrooge was way ahead of its time, making it relevant here in the modern day. It has appeared on various lists of best Christmas films. Since its release, Scrooge has become a cult classic and a Christmas classic, being regularly shown on television during the holiday period. Entertainment Weekly called it an immortal classic and argued that it is the most underrated Christmas movie, and that it is both crude and sentimental, resonate and ludicrous. Scrooge is the perfect holiday movie for bitter, reluctant closet Christmas lovers. The Boston Globe said that the film was ahead of its time, which allows it to remain relevant years later. And even in 2010, Den of Geek described it as the finest Christmas movie of all time. Al Green and Annie Lennox Put a Little Love in Your Heart is also played regularly at Christmas, despite not being about or mentioning Christmas, which is interesting. We'll talk about that. IGN named it its best 11th holiday movie. Empire did. Time Out. Kyle, this is the reason why we're doing this film, because this is not your traditional holiday film, even though it is a take on a very traditional theme. They are saying that it's ahead of its time at the time it came out, which makes it more relevant now. Specifically talking about, how TV loves to take over Christmas and make money. Viewing for cats and dogs, which is now a thing. It's your take.
I was actually thinking about this before we started this podcast tonight. Scrooge is the last modern holiday movie I can remember that's really kind of taken over as a cult classic holiday movie. Maybe Elf after it, obviously, I
Right.
think is the one that comes to mind. The only other one that really comes to mind to me and it's still not like there yet because I think it's too new, but is the Netflix Christmas Chronicle with Kurt Russell playing Santa Claus. I
This
think
is true.
that
Yep.
has the capability of becoming a modern Christmas classic because I think it's Kurt Russell's Santa Claus is absolutely phenomenal in that.
It is, yeah.
I mean, when you've got Santa Claus singing Jailhouse Blues, it's a great thing. But with Scrooged in particular, I do think it was a little bit of ahead of its time because I think it was at a place where people weren't ready to see this kind of version of Scrooge necessarily in the theater.
Yep.
But I think the thing that helps Scrooge more than anything else is obviously the legend that is Bill Murray.
Yep.
I think if it's not Bill Murray in that role, Scrooge is nowhere near what it is today.
This is true. And we'll touch more on this in trivia later, but this was basically his first film that he was the lead in. He'd always been part of an ensemble piece with other co-stars like Ghostbusters and stuff like that. So this was the movie that he helmed himself, which is very important for his career going forward. So as we like to do, Kyle, we love to talk about the posters of movies that were released. And of course, the most iconic one of all time, of course, is this one that I have here with the laser disc. And of course, the DVD. And that's where you have Scrooged with his hair. And he has a cigarette and it's a cigar and it's being lit by probably death because it's got the bony hand. And
we got Ghost of Christmas Future is probably
Ghost of Christmas Future, yes. And the quote says, "The spirits will move you in odd and hysterical ways." And this was the iconic image that most of us saw on the original poster and most of the early VHS and DVD and of course Laserdisc as well.
Okay, hey Kevin, I always thought we referred to this movie as Ghostbusters 3: The Ghost Strike Back.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. When you do some internet search, you find some other posters, some international posters as well, with Bill Murray and then the Coast of Christmas Future, with his bony hand leaning down, lighting his cigar. There's some great international posters here that are very, very cool looking. There's a current video that's out now. I saw it at Target that has a more updated version of this as well. Then there's one down at the bottom I have here where it shows all the TV screens that he would have in his office showing different scenes of the film with his old boss, looking all cruddy and like ghostly looking.
I call that the Wes Craven poster.
Wes Craven poster, yes. Definitely. What else is your take on the posters?
I think the original is still classic. Now I do like this new kind of more modern one. This is one that iTunes is currently using where it's Bill Murray holding the cigar, but instead of it being lit, you've got the hand of Ghost of Christmas Future holding mistletoe above Bill Murray's head.
That's right. Yes. The one he strategically had to kiss one of the solid gold dancers under on the set.
We're going to get to that later, by the way. We're going to talk about that.
We got a couple of taglines for the film. We got Bill Murray is back among the ghosts. Wonder what movie he's referring to there. Only this time it's 3 against 1. The other one was the spirits will move you in odd and hysterical ways. I hadn't heard of that first one. That must have been probably like a radio or TV promotion of Bill Murray is back among the ghosts. They want to try to get the Ghostbusters crowd, I guess. Okay, so the big question, Kyle, that we always like to ask everyone when it comes to these movies that we celebrate is when and where was the first time that you saw this movie and what kind of impact did it have on you watching it for the first time, Kyle?
Okay, so this is actually kind of important to me, and this is one of the reasons why I was so wanting to do Scrooge for this special holiday edition of Couch Potato Theater. I remember when Scrooge came out in '88, and I remember just not feeling the holiday spirit. And at this time I'm about ready to go into high school, and I'm just, that's just a weird age, and you're just kind of off. And I was just feeling really down, and I was still in Alaska at the time, and it was dark. It was cold. We were in a really bad cold snap, and I wanted to see this, and it had been in the theaters for a few weeks. And I just, what ended up happening was over the Christmas holiday, I worked at a Wendy's for the Christmas break, and it was right next to the movie theater. So I asked, I had an early shift. I asked my mom, I was like, I want to go see this movie. Can you just pick me up after that? Oh yeah, sure, no problem. So when saw this by myself, but just it changed my entire mood. It just put me in a place where it felt like, okay, I'm in a Christmas mood now. I'm in a happier place. It really kind of changed this. And it's something that I found myself in years where I'm having a hard time really getting into Christmas, like this year, which I think a lot of us are going through. This is one of those movies that I definitely was glad to rewatch, especially and do this Couch Potato Theater for, because it did kind of help me boost up my Christmas spirit a little bit here.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, okay, so you were just going into high school, you say, right?
Yeah, that winter of '88, I was in my last year junior high, going into high school as a freshman in '89.
So I had just graduated from high school. This came out in November, so this was a big month for me. First of all, at this time, the Dodgers had won the World Series, and I was very excited about that. And so I also was recently just moved out of my house for the first time. And I wasn't going to movies with my parents much anymore. I was something that we used to do a lot when I was younger. But my mom said, I want to go see Scrooge. I would love if you would go with me. And I said, sure, let's do that. And so we went to the Arlington Theater, which is still here in Santa Barbara, and we went to go see this movie together. Now, there was a lot of things that my mom and I would do together. There was a lot of TV shows that we would watch together. She used to watch early Star Trek, early Doctor Who. Obviously, and I remember one of my fondest memories with my mom was also listening to the original Star Wars radio dramas when they aired on NPR radio. And there are certain moments in my life regarding my mother that I remember the most and hold fondly. And as we're recording this, it's been the 10-year anniversary since she's passed away. And so this movie for me holds a very special place in my heart because of the memories that I have sharing it with my mom. And we had watched it together, I think, on video together a few times after that. But seeing this live in the theater with her, and then, of course, at the end of the movie when Bill Murray addresses the theater, because everyone's supposed to be watching this in theater for the first time. And he's like asking all the men to stand up and say, scream, and then the real men, and then the women, and the real women. We were doing that in the theater, Kyle. We were getting in that. Were you guys doing that?
I had a little bit in the showing. I went to, it was kind of a midday showing, so it wasn't a huge crowd. But I had talked to another friend of mine who had gone a couple nights before, and he had kind of told me about that, and he said it was crazy because everybody was just getting into it.
Right.
And
right.
Truthfully, when I think about that, I think that's also part of the Bill Murray effect, because Bill Murray has that charisma. And when I think about like modern actors today, I can only think of maybe one or two actors on the top of my head that could pull off something like that in a movie and people get involved. And I think that's Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds.
Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. I get that. Yeah, totally. So, when you and I have shown appreciation for this film, we both hold it in our hearts in a certain way. And it's not your traditional Christmas film. It's a little dark at times, which is interesting, but it's very funny. It's heartwarming. It hits all the right chords. It makes you think. And therefore I believe that it was ahead of its time. But let's get into some of our favorite scenes and moments and any other observations, Kyle. When you look back on this, it's one of those films that I can jump in anytime. I'm like, oh, we're at this part, I'm in it for the rest of the ride. There's several scenes in here which are very memorable. For you, what are some of those?
Honestly, anything with the Ghost of Christmas Present, Harold Kane.
Harold Kane, yeah.
Kevin, by the way, when you get that toaster I sent you for Christmas,
just don't rip my lip off, all right?
Anything with that. I'm not a huge Bobcat Goldthwait fan per se, but he was great in this film.
Yeah, because he wasn't. He was a little toned down on his Bobcat Goldthwait, basically.
Yeah, but I some of my favorite stuff is when he's holding at the end of the film when he's holding the crew hostage. The broadcast Oh, we're burning here. Shoots out the shotgun.
Right.
But I mean, honestly, there's so many great scenes in this, and I mean, honestly though, for me, if you want to ask what my favorite scene is, it's the ending scene when he's giving the speech.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially when he addresses his brother, and then he goes,
Yeah.
"The SS Minnow," and then they're all like, "What the?"
Yeah.
But no, I mean, but he's such an ass at the beginning of this film, more than I think any other Scrooge, to be honest with you. Anybody,
Oh yeah.
you know, I mean, it's just he's got it turned up to 2,000. He leaves the award in the back of the taxi cab.
He steals the cab from the old lady.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many things here, and here's the crazy part of this, Kevin. There's not too many people in this film that are really redeeming when you truly think about it.
What do you explain?
Okay, so obviously you have some good characters. You have Karen Allen's character. You have his secretary and her family. But you have the guy who comes out from LA who they hire. He's not really that redeeming. You've got the guy, the main boss of the station. He's pretty much a jerk.
Robert Mitchum, yeah.
Mitchum, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of people in this that, you know, you're just kind of like,
except for his underlings. You're feeling for his underlings, so
yeah, you're feeling for his underling. But like all the people that like are in with him in the middle of at the beginning of the movie when they're looking at the different promos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And none of them except for Bobcat Elliott, you feel really like, oh yeah,
right. Yeah.
You know, it's just like a lot of high end execs and everything like that. So, you know, outside of it's all they make it very much where the blue collar people are the redeeming people in this.
Exactly. And that is the point of this film, in that it's not necessarily him that needs to be Scrooged. It's maybe the TV company that he works for to a certain degree. Because you see when he starts turning at the end into the good Scrooge, you know, his boss is like about to fire him, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But I love the whole intro to this film when you get the whole what IBC's on their network, you know, with the night the reindeer died, you know. And it's so funny because when I was watching that again this time around, I kept thinking to the new film Fat Man, with Mel Gibson, who plays a current day of Santa Claus, of what happens when kids aren't good anymore and corporations have taken over the Christmas toy making business, and he's forced to do other things with the government, and then a hitman is sent to try and kill him, and it's you know, it totally reminded me of that. But the whole intro,
no, I was gonna say too, come on, you aren't down with Bob Goulet Christmas
I am all over Robert Goulet, a Cajun Christmas, man. I love all of that. But I love the setup when you see him showing his version of the Scrooge promo. It's dark and it scares everybody. But then you see him, like you said, setting up why he's a jerk, you know. And one of my favorite scenes is when he's with his brother down on the streets in New York, and his brother's trying to convince him to come to Christmas dinner. He's like, no, I'm not doing it, you know, and you know, everyone's going to be home watching the boob tube and we're going to be making money and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, and these street musicians, get them off of here. And it's so funny because those street musicians are legendary street musicians. Robert, Donner, the director, knew what he was doing. He had Miles Davis, famous musician in his own. We had Paul Schaefer, who of course has worked with David Letterman for years, but a musical genius. David Sanborn, another musician. Anyway, I could go on. I love that whole opening thing, but I also love it when we get when he makes the call after the first ghost appearance and the call to Claire, and then Claire comes to his studio, and I love how that kind of sets things up to where they both are, he's like, oh, Claire, you're still trying to save the world. He's like, you still trying to run it. I love that scene as well. And then I love the Ghost of Christmas Past with David Johansen as the cabbie.
Yeah, no, he was
Because David Johansen, if for you musicians out there, he used to be the lead singer for the New York punk band New York Dolls, and so he's legendary his own, and he's gone on to done his own music. Buster Poindexter, remember him? That was his alter ego. So it was great to see him in that. And as you mentioned, Kyle, the end scene with the sing along, and I'd always tear up every time the kid says, God blesses everyone, and he actually speaks.
Yeah, no, that's the heart wrencher right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole speech Bill Murray gives at the end is just, it's great, and it's how he delivers it.
It is, yeah, and he's starting to break up too. He's starting to tear up a little bit and choke up a little bit as he's saying it, and that's what really sells the moment, is that that he is getting it. He's getting it. So yeah.
Kevin, real quick, can we talk about the director here for just a second before we get?
Oh, you mean Richard Donner? Who's that guy?
Yeah. When you direct this between Lethal Weapon 1 and Lethal Weapon 2, you think he was just trying to change things up a little bit?
It's funny too, because Richard Donner has like some background characters he always brings with him, like the female executive in the beginning of this film is the one that is the counselor, the police counselor for Riggs in the Lethal Weapon films. There's a couple other people in there as well. Richard Donner is amazing. Director of the original Superman as well. Lady Hawk, Lethal Weapon series. Man, the Goonies, dude. The Goonies. Come on.
Exactly.
This guy is legendary. But I wanted to ask you, Kyle, about some of your favorite quotes that were in the film.
Okay, some of my favorite quotes in the film. Well, I love at the beginning. You think I'm way off base here, sir? Frank Cross talking to Elliot. Elliot's like, yes, you're a tad off base, sir. That thing looked like the Manson family Christmas special, referring to the Scrooged promo that Frank Cross comes up with. I also like when we were doing some of the flashback scenes. I never liked a girl well enough to give her 12 sharp knives.
Oh, I know. That's another great scene in the film where he meets Claire after the Christmas party, after he gets hit in the head, or they both do it, and it goes a year later, and they're living together in that small apartment, and that's a great scene. I love that. By the way, I finally noticed something about that scene I had never noticed before. The flashback to their little apartment. Yeah. Claire's in the bathtub, right? At first.
Do not tell me you didn't notice what she was doing while she was in the bathtub.
I did not notice it. She has a roach clip and she's smoking a doobie. I was like, what's that in her hand? I never noticed that before. So, but that was such a 70s thing to do. So that was great. What other quotes jump out at you?
Obviously, I could quote the whole speech at the end, but I actually liked it. I've always liked this one. No, you are an hallucination brought on by alcohol. Russian vodka poisoned by Chernobyl.
The way Bill delivers that is great.
And Kevin, real quick, that's the thing, though. It's Bill Murray's delivery on these lines. A lot of these lines would fall flat anybody else.
Yep. One of my favorites is when he's with Ghost of Christmas Past. He's all, I get it. You're taking me back in time to show me my mother and father, and I'm supposed to get all goosey and blubbery. Well, forget it, pal. You got the wrong guy. And the Ghost of Christmas Past says, that's exactly what Attila the Hun said. But when he saw his mother, Niagara Falls. I want that movie, by the way. That would be great. Regarding at the quote at the end too, he says, it's Christmas Eve. It's the one night of the year we all act a little nicer. We smile a little easier. We cheer a little more. For a couple of hours out of the whole year, we are the people that we always hoped we would be.
Again, great.
So we have a segment where we call "Who's Your Movie Crush in the Film?" But I wanted to add a different one, Kyle. I want to ask, who's your favorite ghost in the film?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, Carol Kane steals this movie for me. Carol Kane is the Ghost of Christmas Present.
La 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 la.
Yeah, I know something you don't know. I know something you don't know. She is absolutely wonderful in this film, and just what's great about it is more than anything anybody else in the film, she just goes toe to toe with Bill Murray. And you know how hard that is?
She's smacking him around, and even the little subtle scene where they go into the apartment and she's like going back and forth with her wings, and it keeps hitting Bill in the face.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you know how hard as an actor that has to be to go toe to toe like that with Bill Murray.
Oh yeah.
Role.
Oh yeah. She's a comic genius. I mean, obviously
yeah.
she's great as Miracle Max's wife in The Princess Bride, liar. Yeah, she's great. I like I said, I love the Ghost of Christmas Past too. I love him. I think he was great cabbie. But yeah, Carol Kane does steal it. We talked about Richard Donner, of course. He did this film between Lethal Weapon and Lethal Weapon 2. Writing credits, Mitch Glazer and Michael O'Donoghue, and also this Charles Dickens guy based off that.
He's some young up and coming writer. I don't know at the time. I'm just like, it's a tale of two cities. I don't know.
I want to talk about the cast because we have the main cast, Kyle.
Wait. Time out. Zach Morris, time out. You're skipping a major category here.
Go ahead.
We haven't discussed our movie crushes of this film.
Well, I was going to get into that with the cast.
Oh, okay. I'll let you roll there.
That's where I was going with that here, because we always have like, who's your movie crush? And, I obviously knew Karen Allen from Raiders of the Lost Ark, Marion Ravenwood, and she is just so adorable in this. She's got the freckles, and how can you not fall in love with a girl like that? There's several others to choose from here as well. But Kyle, who's your movie crush?
This is actually really easy for me, Kevin, because my movie crush in this movie, and I said we would get back to this a little bit ago, the solid gold dancer who is under the mistletoe.
Not Mary Lou Retton.
Not Mary Lou Retton. If you actually pause this movie and look at her, she is stunningly beautiful.
You talking about the solid gold dancer?
The solid gold dancer who
yeah,
he
she's
kisses.
cute. Yeah,
she is. But yeah, no. I mean, there's not a huge lot of choices.
Especially when he's going. See, he's leading up to it, like, and there's mistletoe, and there's a rule. I gotta go up, and
then she starts pulling him in by the tie.
Yes,
she plays. I mean, Kevin, I know your crush is Anne Ramsey in this film.
Yeah. Throw Mama from the Train, or Mrs. Fratelli, right? Mrs. Fratelli from the Goonies. Yeah. So yeah. But let's touch on the rest of this cast, though, Kyle. In this cast, we have the main cast, but it's also a huge, and another thing that's really charming about this film, Scrooged, is there's so many cameos of famous people playing themselves and not playing themselves, right?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy how much they kind of break that in this film.
Yeah. So
I mean, but Lee Majors obviously playing himself, Jamie Farr playing himself, Robert Goulet playing himself, Mary Lou Retton playing herself. But I'll tell you what, who somebody who I do like in this film a lot is John Glover as Bryce Cummings.
Yes.
Nobody plays sleazy better than John Glover.
Slimy TV executor who loves to shake hands and be in the middle of conversations of deals, and and how he's threatening Cross's position basically.
And for those of you who you might be like, John Glover, that name sounds familiar. He's been in a lot of things. Probably most known in fandom, he was Lex Luthor's father in Smallville.
Yes, there you go. Yep.
Kind of slimy there too, by the way.
Yeah. I want to give it up to John Forsythe, who plays Lou Hayward, one of the early mentors of Cross, and of course you get him as the corpse ghost that comes in the beginning to tell him about how he's going to be visited by three ghosts. And there's that great scene of him wanting to drink the Bacardi, and he gets shot with the gun and everything. But when you see him as the executive later in the 70s or earlier in the 60s and 70s, he's great too. And Robert Mitchum, man, coming in for a quick little, I'm the boss, and I'm going to have you try to, entertain cats and dogs, and how it's funny how ridiculous this was at the time, Kyle.
Yeah.
But there's actual channels now where that's a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, we leave it on for our pets. I mean, one other person I need to throw out here, and it's just because even those many times as I watch this, I have to remind myself it's this actress, Alfie Woodard as Grace Cooley, his assistant. Yes. She's so young, and she looks so different from what we're used to seeing her as now. And I mean, she's obviously has had a phenomenal career, but she's kind of the heart of this movie in a way.
She
Very
is.
Karen
She is.
Allen.
Definitely. I also like Michael J. Pollard, who played Herman. He was
Yes.
one of the homeless guys who kept calling Cross Dick Richard Burton, basically. But I remember him too as the techie geek guy in Tango and Cash that put all the weapons together for them when they needed, and it had that cool like RV car that they used. But this was interesting point because he was his character died in the film,
Yes.
which made it even darker. I mean, he finds his corpse freezing in the sewer. I mean, that's sad.
Yeah, that was the low point of the movie for me. It's like I'm just like
Yeah.
completely bummed out now.
Yeah, Buddy Hackett playing, of course, the stage version of Scrooge as well, and John Houseman, a legendary actor. Yeah, it's just a great early Wendy Malick before gosh, what did she do later? Was it Just Shoot Me?
Yep.
Before that, she played the wife in what's that early HBO show that I like, Kyle? Well, the one where the guy watched TV all the time when he was Dream On. Thank you. Yes. Love Wendy Malick in that as well. So, but Mary Ellen Trainor was what I was telling you about, was the woman in the beginning, one of the board executive. She appeared in other Donner films, of course, Lethal Weapon and also in Goonies. And yeah, we got to give up again to your Solid Gold dancers, Kyle. Yeah. Who did not watch Solid Gold, not just for the dancers.
I mean, come on. Just showing a little of the nipple.
Yeah, just a little. And these guys are really looking.
Yeah.
Running time was about an hour and 41 minutes. Was released November 23rd, 1988, with a budget of $32 million. Opening weekend was a little over $13 million. U.S. grossed $60 million. Worldwide, about exactly at $100 million. So it did well. It made money. Obviously did well, of course, in the video arena as well. Critics' reviews, Kyle. The film received positive response from test audience, but was met with mixed responses on its release by critics who found the film too mean-spirited or too sentimental. Pre-release audience screenings in summer of '88 were positive. Also, we know how we love to do, Roger Ebert.
But wait, before we get to Roger Ebert, though, A Christmas Carol too sentimental?
Yeah, I know, right? I think that's what you're going for. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the whole point there.
Well, Ebert said this was one of the worst film adaptations of A Christmas Carol he had ever seen. He called it one of the most disquieting, unsettling films to come along in quite some time, saying it portrays pain and anger more than comedy.
Yeah, Roger, this is one of those times where Roger just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, it's interesting because this movie is dark at certain times. It's harsh. I think when it comes down to it, it may be one of the most realistic versions of A Christmas Carol. If a Christmas Carol type thing were to actually really happen in real life, you'd have to show how bad things would really, really get. And that's what this movie dared to do, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it made decent money. It made $100 million worldwide gross.
Right.
Did 32 million. It basically made its budget back in the U.S. almost double its budget. But yeah, I think, truthfully, I think this is one of those films too. And I know we're going to get to that here in a few minutes. This is the time when a movie didn't necessarily have a big run in the theater, but got huge on video. And I think this is another one, from about, Kevin, I'd say maybe 85 to 2000, the video market saved so many films or made so many films.
It opens up in November and it plays through December and then it's gone by January comes around. And then it has to relive and make money. It probably was released on video for the Christmas release the following year, and then of course it's been kept doing it as well. Empire's William Thomas called it a slick and cynical update of Dickens' tale, but that it's only funny when Murray's character is being a complete bastard. Washington Post Joe Brown said it was a sprawling mess, but that he liked it. Brown said that Scrooge was unlikely to be, this is interesting, Scrooge was unlikely to become a seasonal tradition like It's a Wonderful Life and Miracle on 34th Street, considering that it would age poorly and either scare or be too adult for child audiences. Wrong.
Yeah, well, can we talk about that for a second though, Kevin?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I do find it interesting. I think there was a period where, yeah, Scrooge was played a lot during the holidays. I don't feel like it's the last couple of years it's been in the cycle as much as it used to be.
That is a good point. I have not seen it in its cycle. Every now and then it would kind of pop up, but it's not like a Christmas Story, which they'll show 24/7,
Yeah,
for
I know.
24 hours or whatever. And what's funny is if I've wanted to watch it, because I don't own it digitally yet, I pop in my DVD. That's how I've been watching it every year. So yeah, but it's interesting how Joe Brown, Washington Post Joe Brown said that at the time and how it wouldn't basically age. But I think we've proved him wrong.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a fair assessment to that.
So regarding video releases and such, Paramount announced a special. This is interesting, and I remember seeing a promo for this, Kyle. Paramount announced a special edition release title, You'll Love It. Yule, of course, Yule edition, to be released on October 31st, 2006. However, it was recalled for unknown reasons. It said that it was supposed to include a commentary by Donner on the set with Bill Murray, Murray's message from the Show West Exhibitors Convention, and other featurettes, including a look at Scrooge, updating Ebenezer, bringing the ghost to life, and Christmas to Remember. Although Paramount promoted You'll Love It edition with images of a custom DVD case and a retail price as of late September of that year, it missed its release date and it remains unreleased. The reason for this has not been disclosed. Do you remember seeing promo pictures of this, Kyle? Because I do.
Yeah, I think I do, but I mean that was a while ago. But yeah, I do remember something about a special edition for Scrooge that was supposed to come out.
Yeah, it never did. All they did was in 2011, it was released on Blu-ray, November 1st, 2011. The release featured, a great transfer from the original film, blah, blah, blah. The release was criticized, though, for only including the film's theatrical trailer, with Collider's Phil Brown saying there must be some incredible behind-the-scenes stories to tell. So I'm wondering, Kyle, this is a mystery. We got to get to the bottom of this somehow and find out why, because it sounds like they were ready to release this Ultimate Edition, but something has held it up. It's got to be something to do with money.
I'm going to say it's something to do with Bill Murray, because Bill Murray gets a little weird about things like this at times.
You think so?
And I think that's probably where it's coming from. So
interesting. Alternate versions. TBS runs an edited for content version of this film that deletes or changes profanity and questionable dialogue. Following the September 11th attacks, the footage of the airplane blowing up in the mid-air reference to terrorism seen in Frank's violent Scrooge promo was edited out of television broadcast. The entire violent promo is now edited out of television broadcast. In the UK and Ireland in 2016, an E4 television channel showed a slightly revised version of the movie with Frank Scrooge's promo intact as originally intended, with the exploding plane shot and only some alternative language replacement on certain dialogue. That's interesting. The whole thing with September 11th doesn't surprise me, but it doesn't feel like there's really any other like extended or deleted scenes that we will probably get privy to.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I understand at the time why they edited out the September 11th stuff. I know it's not, I like on the digital copies, it's still there, and the same on the Blu-rays and things like that. But I get for television, I get why they did it, especially during that time frame.
So, Kyle, when we did our Couch Potato Theater with Johnny K covering Predator, the original 1987 classic with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and we had Johnny's friends from Dragon Con, the Predator cosplay group. That was a great podcast.
Yes.
Well, if I were to tell you that there was a Predator / Scrooge connection, Kyle, we would think, wait, what would that be? What guest stars maybe could have been in either of these films? What behind the scenes stuff? But no, Kyle, you know what we're talking about, right?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Lee Majors, the sling-mounted M134 minigun used by Lee at the beginning of the movie, was the same stage prop used by Jesse Ventura in Predator. I love how that gun goes from Predator, one of the most awesome sci-fi action movies of all time, and then goes to a Christmas movie.
Are you sure it wasn't in Fat Man?
Yeah, they use no, it could have been. I wish they would have actually, but
Yeah.
no. Walter Goggins, who plays the hitman in that, he uses other means. Um, we have to talk about the music and the soundtrack, Kyle. This is one of the endearing things about this. Danny Elfman did the score. What's interesting though is not until 2011 that his score was released. The album, which was limited to just 3,000 copies, contained a total of 34 tracks, not of all which were included on the film. The final track is a bonus track that was created for Trading Places back in 1983. The soundtrack, in 1989, A&M Records released a soundtrack to Scrooge, which features 9 songs. 7 of the songs were released as singles. Put a Little Love in Your Heart was released in October of 88. The Love You Take in December of 88. And a few other songs here. The rendition of Put a Little Love in Your Heart with Al Green and Annie Lennox spent 17 weeks in the U.S. music charts, peaking at number 9 on January 14th, 1989, Kyle. This is the song that is the signature song of this movie. Interesting that it doesn't include any Christmas reference to it.
You know, I'm not surprised because it actually works for this movie. I think the fact that there's not a lot of actual Christmas music in this movie actually worked for this film.
I mean, they had your traditional stuff in here, for to set the theme. But yeah, it's interesting, But this song is so perfect for this film and this type of film. I only hear that song usually during the Christmas season, which is interesting,
Yeah, and it's a great performance by both Annie Lennox and Al Green. Too,
what a great duet! It is just wonderful, and it hits all the notes for this film. But there's a lot of other great songs and more traditional stuff as well. But that is the song that stands out. If we could play it right now, we would, but we don't want to get in trouble, Kyle.
Basically, yeah. No, so sorry, guys. We'd love to share it with you. We'd love to share it for you at the end of the podcast, but
So, interesting about some of the makeup here. Makeup artists Tom Burnham and Barai Dryban were responsible for the film's single nomination at the 61st Academy Awards for Best Makeup. However, they lost to Beetlejuice, Kyle. Beetlejuice.
You're not going to beat Beetlejuice. Sorry.
Filming locations, Toronto, Canada, of course, New York City. And they it was at Flushing, New York. That was Frank's childhood home, but most of it was done in and around New York City, which really set the tone for this film, I think, with it being about a self-centered television, executive. I don't know where else they could have done this to, change it or make it better. I think New York was a great setting for this.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Obviously, filming a lot in Toronto, a lot of places film in Toronto to take place in New York because of costs and everything like that. But yeah, I think you put this in. Maybe you could pull off Chicago, but that's about it.
Right. I'm sure that regarding Toronto, I know that Toronto is a huge filming mecca now and always has been. There's parts of Toronto that stand in for New York, which is great. The TV show Suits, right? Kyle did that as well. And then they obviously have studios for some interior shots as well. So, but up next, we have some trivia and more couch potato theater discussion. We're going to take a quick break and let you know what other great podcasts are here on the Fandom Podcast Network. Thank you for listening. We hope you're enjoying this podcast. We like to continue to feed your ears by inviting you to listen to the Fandom Podcast Network and all of the other awesome shows we have to offer. It starts with our flagship show, Culture Clash, our weekly pop culture news podcast. Bloody Kings, our Highlander podcast. Couch Potato Theater, our podcast celebrating our favorite movies. Time Warp, the Fandom Flashback podcast discussing a year in movies and our favorite pop culture topics. End Zone, the NFL podcast. Good Evening, an Alfred Hitchcock podcast. Union Federation, our Star Trek and Orville podcast. Hair Metal, the 80s and early 90s rock metal podcast. Type 40, our Doctor Who podcast. Lethal Mullet, a 1980s and 90s action film podcast. What a Piece of Junk, a Star Wars podcast. And our newest show, Making Treks, a new Star Trek podcast with a deep dive into the final frontier with host Mark Newbold and Adam P. O'Brien. You can enjoy all of these great Fandom Podcast Network shows on our master feed at fpnet.podbean.com. Fandom Podcast Network is also on Apple Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. You can also find us on Facebook under Fandom Podcast Network. You can also email us at fandompodcastnetwork@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter under Fandom Podcast Network. Thank you for listening, and remember, respect others and enjoy your fandom. All right, welcome back to Couch Potato Theater. We are talking Scrooged, 1988 Christmas classic. Kyle, we've got some fun trivia to talk about, and I have to ask you about the first one here because I want to get your opinion on a couple of things. So Bill Murray turned down the lead roles in these films to play the lead in Scrooge. He turned down Rain Man and Big and Cocktail.
Okay. So I'm assuming in Rain Man he turned down the Dustin Hoffman character role.
I'm assuming. I don't know.
Big, obviously the Tom Hanks role.
Yes.
Cocktail, was it the Coughlin role that he turned down?
I don't know. That's what's interesting. But as we alluded to earlier, Bill Murray's biggest challenge was carrying the film on his own. And in his previous films, he'd been part of an ensemble. You know, this was the first time that he really took the reins.
Yeah, I know he carried the film because he was the main character, but I don't think he carried the film on his own. I think
he's the lead star.
Yeah,
he's the one that's on the video boxes.
Yeah.
Which makes him the lead in this per se. You know, so yeah. Bill Murray and director Richard Donner reportedly did not enjoy working together, creating a lot of tension on set. When asked by film critic Roger Ebert if he had had any disagreements with Donner, Murray replied, "Only a few, every single minute of the day. This could have been really, really good movie. The script was so good. There's maybe one take in the final cut of the film that is mine. We made it so fast. It was like doing a movie live. He kept telling me to do things louder, louder, louder. I think he was deaf."
It's interesting to hear this because, Bill Murray's always kind of had a rocky relationship with his directors over the years. Even to the point where he lost his friendship for a very long time with Harold Ramis because of Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So my question is this: Donner wasn't exactly the most fun to work with when you hear other stories, but it does make you kind of wonder when you have a relationship like that. This is a great movie, but what if they would have really gotten along? How much more we would have gotten out of it?
Yeah, I think a lot of this is on Bill Murray because I just the type of personality I think he is. I think he could be difficult when you get two difficult people or stubborn people working together. They can knock heads and such. So this is interesting. Filming began in December of '87. With Christmas approaching, Richard Donner asked if the production could have Christmas Day off. But Paramount Pictures executives refused, insisting that the filming should continue on Christmas Day.
Humbug.
Yes, exactly. However, Donner outwitted them. At the end of the day, on December 24th, 1987, he officially fired the entire cast and crew. 2 days later, on December 26th, he officially rehired everyone. The break allowed the cast and crew members to spend Christmas with their families. That's pretty cool.
Donner was a clever dude.
Yep. When the ghost of Christmas present, Carol Kane, grabbed Bill Murray's lip, she tore it so badly that film was halted for several days. She ain't messing around, man.
No, she's Carol Kane's dangerous. I found this one very interesting. I had forgotten about this, but this is Bill Murray's first starring role since Ghostbusters in '84. He was living in Paris and almost gave up acting completely.
I didn't know this was a Paris thing for him. Why would he give up after Ghostbusters? I just don't get that.
He's always been a different kind of guy. And it's just one of those things, I think.
So Kyle, when it comes to people playing certain ghosts, in these movies, these type of movies, one of my favorite episodes of Married with Children stars this guy in a very same role. that Sam Kinison was originally slated to play the part of Ghost of Christmas Past. The part eventually went to David Johansen due to his friendship with Bill Murray. Do you remember the episode where he played the ghost of a Christmas type thing with Al Bundy? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. It's been a long time, but I do remember that.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if he got that role for, somehow because he wanted this role so bad. So anyway, I thought that was very, very cool. A little bit of sad news here though, Kyle. One of the special appearances in this movie of legendary actor John Houseman, sadly, he died on October 31st, 1988, less than 1 month before this movie was released in theaters on November 23rd. I remember this because I had seen John Houseman in some films my parents liked. And I remember that he passed away, and then so it was weird seeing him on the big screen.
Yeah, I know it was. But you want to talk about movie legends too? Let's talk about Robert Mitchum, who is one of my all-time favorite classic films is The Searchers.
Oh yes,
that he's in. And Richard Donner wasn't convinced he would even do the part, but he got him to meet with Bill Murray. And to quote Donner, he said, "He came in and we never got a word in edgewise. He was so wonderful with stories and we didn't want to talk. The minute you get around Bill, you're swooning. Everybody is."
Yeah. That must have been intimidating to get a legend like that, but I'm glad that he came in because he had that, when you watch films with him in it, Robert Mitchum, he is just very commanding. My dad was watching the Western that he was in recently, and he was a lot younger, of course, but man, that dude was a legendary actor. Frank trying to get the audience in the movie theater to participate was entirely ad-libbed by Bill Murray.
And it's wonderful to this day.
It
Absolutely wonderful. What I liked too was the fact that Bill Murray's actual younger brother, John Murray, played his brother in this film.
I've seen him in a lot of films. His brother, he's been in kind of like a lot of like R-rated comedies and straight to video stuff, but I've seen him in a lot of stuff.
There's one I remember seeing him in called Moving Violations, where they were all going in traffic school.
Yes, definitely. Some characters having trouble remembering the name of the boat on Gilligan's Island, the show on which director Richard Donner worked on. So I thought that was kind of funny. And last but not least, the golf ball in Frank's mouth is an homage to Bill Murray's character in Caddyshack from 1980. I was looking on the internet, Kyle, for any merchandise, games, books, comics, anything else. There's not much out there for Scrooged.
No, it's a Christmas Carol thing, Nobody the only thing that I'm kind of shocked at is nobody ever made at least the Ghost of Christmas Future out of this film, because it's a very cool design with the people trapped in his rib cage and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that scene in the elevator, that thing's creepy.
that felt like at least a McFarlane toy or something like that.
Oh, I know. I love the fact that he opens it up again and they're like, ah! It's like, did we do that?
Yeah, exactly.
I have to ask you, in the world that we live in now with sequels, Kyle, first of all, would you want a sequel if they had a chance to do one? Whether you wanted one or not, where would it go?
See, no, you don't. With this movie, you don't do a sequel. You actually do a movie of what they were going to originally broadcast.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, you'd have Mary Lou Retton doing the thing, right? Yeah.
You might modern up. Maybe it's Simone Biles now or something like that.
Right. Would you have wanted a sequel?
No, I don't think so. I think this movie is perfect as is. You don't need a sequel to this. You just enjoy this movie. You pull it out at Christmas time. You watch it. You have fun with it, and whether you watch it by yourself, try to watch it with friends or family. That's the big thing with this movie. But
I was trying to get to a point to where, like, if you had Alfre Woodard eventually play the Cross character later on, and she's older, maybe she becomes successful and she starts kind of becoming the her boss or something. But I think no sequels needed in this. Classic, just it's in the leave it alone category is what I would say. Just like
okay, let me ask, not a sequel per se, but let's say somebody kind of wanted to do a more modern Scrooge, like in a similar vein like this.
Well, let's talk about that. You mean like a remake?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, a remake, but who do you put in that lead role?
That's a good one. Jeez. You know, I think you almost have to put a comedian type person in that role to do the lines and the ad libs that Bill Murray was able to do. You know, it's hard to say. You know, I'm not up on all the comedians that's going on right now, but
Yeah.
did you have someone in mind? Because I'm drawing a blank.
I have somebody in mind, but he's too young for it right now.
Yeah,
who's that? Robbie Amell.
Is he funny?
Upload?
Well, we got a little bit of that in that one TV show. What was it called?
Upload.
Upload with great show on
Amazon. Because remember, when he was alive in that show, he was basically an ass.
This is true. Okay, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I guess so. If you wanted to kind of do a little younger take on that, I could see that. Yeah, Robbie was good in that. That's right. I forgot about that. Well, let's talk about TV series, Kyle. Whether it was just like a limited either Netflix or Amazon series or something. Is it better just to do a movie or let's say, a limited TV series, whether a streaming or not?
I don't think you could get enough episodes to really qualify it for a good streaming series. I think a movie is the way to go here.
Plus, you need to keep it with short and sweet within the holiday genre.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
You don't want to drag this out as a TV series,
No,
so yeah.
No, a movie's the way to go for anything.
That's true. So as we wrap things up here, Kyle, obviously this movie is very important to us right now, but I wanted to ask you, is this, when people talk about their favorite Christmas movies of all time, and that's one of the things I do when I meet new people and the holidays are coming around. I ask you what your favorite Christmas movies are. Because currently right now I'm doing this 12 days of Christmas movies I've never seen before type of thing. And I'm like on 6 or 7 right now. So I'm trying to do new Christmas movies, but there's always about 5 movies that are on my I must watch rotation list. And then there's like another subset of like maybe another 5 or 6 movies I'll watch maybe every other year. But for me, Scrooge is on that must all the time. What about you?
Oh, Scrooge is definitely on that must for me. It's a Wonderful Life is on there for me. You know what? There's a couple of modern ones that I really like to try to watch every year, and one I've been pushing for you to watch is the one called This Christmas. It's absolutely wonderful African American cast in it.
Right.
And then I am a huge fan of A Christmas Chronicle. I think Kurt Russell is great in it. One I am a sucker for, and it's just because I love the portrayal of Santa Claus in it, is Santa Claus the movie with John Lithgow and Dudley Moore. I'm not a big Dudley Moore fan, but I just love how they portray Santa Claus.
I've never seen that one. That's interesting. Yeah,
that's always kind of one of my favorite. But you know what? I'm also a sucker for the old animated Christmas specials like Rudolph and the Rankin Bass stuff and some of that stuff. That brings me back to being a kid again. And
what is your favorite Christmas movie of all time? If you had to say one, what is it?
That's tough. You know what? I'm gonna have to say It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah. Scrooged for me is number 1, hands down. It's a Wonderful Life. What's that?
I think if I was going to go modern Scrooge, It's a Wonderful Life is my classic.
Gotcha. Well, for me, it's definitely Scrooged, this movie here, and then It's a Wonderful Life right there, back to back. Those are the 2 that I always watch every single year, all the time. I've become fans of some newer stuff. Elf has become this now classic. When it first came out, it wasn't, but now it's been huge. Sharing it with my daughter. Now it's a must-see every year. The one that I keep watching a lot more now as well is Family Man with Nicolas Cage with Téa Leoni.
Yeah,
that's one of those that jump up there as well. I just watched White Christmas for the first time. Watched that for the first time. Interesting. But the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, yeah. Muppet Christmas. You know what? That honestly, that could easily be my number 1 too, because that's one that puts me in a happy place no matter what.
Love Actually. Got it. I got it.
That's climbed up my list a lot in the last few years.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. The original 34th Miracle 34th Street. I just love that original one as well. Very, very, very good. So regarding going back to Scrooged, give me a little more of your final thoughts here, Kyle, and where it stands in your movie fandom in addition to being your Christmas movie.
I think it's for a lot of people who are interested. First of all, I think if you love Bill Murray, you love Scrooge. I think it's one of his top 5 films easily.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those films that people either absolutely love it and it's a must-watch Christmas movie, or it's just not for them. Right. I truly do believe that with this film, and that's why it makes it such an interesting Christmas film.
Have you met people that don't like it? Because I don't think I have.
I've met a couple of people who say I liked it, but it's just not something that gets me Christmassy.
Okay.
I can understand that. I can understand, but I think I'll tell you what, I would show it to somebody who it might be like the first time I'm introducing them to A Christmas Carol in a version that isn't the classic version.
That's interesting. Okay. All right. Okay. Gotcha. I like that.
Because it's a fast-paced film too.
Right.
A lot of these Christmas Carol films are slow moving.
This is very true.
So this film has a good pace to it. Obviously, big fan of Mickey's Christmas Carol, Muppet Christmas Carol too. I show that to the kids. But somebody who's like, I want to give me something Christmas Carol, but I don't want something that's stuffy and stuff like that. I'm going to say Scrooged.
Well said. Well, with that said, when it goes to, what was the version that it's on YouTube because I think we found it, but there was a version of the Christmas Carol was it your mom that liked, or your?
Miracle on 34th Street. It was a made for TV version of it with Sebastian Cabot playing Santa Claus.
Yeah. Okay. That was the Miracle on 34th Street, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Came out in the 70s. The 70s.
Gotcha. When it comes to A Christmas Carol, obviously we know that we can go to one of my favorite guilty pleasure channels, of course, the Hallmark channel, because you get many different versions of that, and I never get tired of the Christmas Carol formula, Kyle. It is such a fun thing to do. They can be done badly, of course, but
it's been done badly many a time.
Yes, but when it can be done fun and right, it's something that's always fun to come back to. And we've, of course, touched on a lot of the classics here and stuff. But I think for me, between this one and A Muppet Christmas Carol, those are my 2 favorites.
It's this one, A Muppet Christmas Carol, and Mickey's Christmas Carol for me, because I always watch Mickey's Christmas Carol Christmas Eve. It's just kind of one of the things I do.
That's what. Yeah. Okay.
So
I've watched this movie Scrooge on Christmas Eve many, many times, but sometimes I'll switch it up though. I'll watch, obviously now I've watched it earlier because, we're going, it's a week away from Christmas as of this recording. So I'll watch it earlier, but I'll switch it up with It's a Wonderful Life, because that's always a great one to watch on Christmas Eve. Sometimes I'll wait I'll do that on like Thanksgiving as well. I'll do It's a Wonderful Life on Thanksgiving and such. So have you looked at any new movies? Like, is there any recent Christmas movies maybe you've watched once or twice and now it's starting to get in your rotation?
Like I said, Christmas Chronicle on Netflix.
Yes. I got to watch the second one. I
haven't watched the second one yet, but I've heard really good things. Yeah.
The first one was done really, really well. I really did enjoy that. Kurt Russell is great in that. Yeah.
So, but Kevin, I got a list here. I'm not done with it yet.
Oh, you're not done with your list? Okay. Well, I'm not getting my VHS. I get what you say, an 8-track.
You know what, Kevin? For this podcast, you kind of uplifted my Christmas a little bit. I'm getting you a Betamax player.
Yes, I don't have I have a Betamax player, but it's not working, so I need one that's working. So thank you. That would be a great Christmas present.
It doesn't work with him, ladies and gentlemen. That's the problem here. If I really want to put a coal in a stocking, Kevin, I'm getting you an all digital player.
Well, Kyle, if I had access to that list, I would give you a towel and a VHS player recorder. That's what I would do. But what's funny actually, and I'm going to get a little personal here with you. First of all, I want to say Merry Christmas to you and Happy Holidays. But I've actually received a working VHS player from you. Tell the story. You got to tell the story.
Okay, so real quick here. Yeah, I'm cleaning up one of my offices at work, and we used to watch all these continuing education things on VHS tapes before even DVD. Well, I'm digging. And I find this old Sony 4-head VCR. It's a little scratched up on the top and stuff like
It's
that.
like circa it's funny. It's like circa 2004.
It's probably one of the last batches of VHS.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah. So it's one of the last like high techy type versions. You know.
I see it, and I know Kevin's birthday is coming up. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. So I sent him without even telling him. I gave him the whole 80s motif because not only did he get the 4-head VHS player, he got the movie Rad on DVD.
Yes, I did. Yes, the 80s BMX movie. But it wouldn't fit into the VCR, though. That's the only problem I had with that combo.
I knew I forgot to send you the adapter.
Oh, that's awesome. Kyle, first of all, I want to give you full credit. This was your idea to do this film for Christmas on a live Couch Potato Theater YouTube on the Fandom Podcast Network. Thank you so much for suggesting it, my friend.
Oh, absolutely. I knew you had a special place for this film. I love it too, you know, and I'm just glad to do it. And hopefully bring a little holiday cheer, whether you've joined us live. And I know today, especially, we were last weekend before Christmas. Some show called The Mandalorian had its finale, and it's kind of blown up the internet. So
it has.
I know we maybe didn't get the full chat numbers we were hoping for and stuff like that, but I know a lot of people who are going to go rewatch this on YouTube. So thank you for doing that as well. And we just hope we brighten you up with a little bit of Christmas cheer.
Yes, and please, I know the holidays can be tough for people. Reach out to your friends and your loved ones if you're feeling down. Rest in peace, Mom. I love you. I will continue to watch this movie in your honor. Love you. And Kyle, love you too, brother. I want to say happy holidays to you.
Absolutely. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. And you know what? Normally this is where I would put in some music, and Kevin and I are not going to torture you with our singing.
No.
But I'm just going to say, yeah, you way in the back. Yeah, I see you. You've been noisy through the entire podcast. I want to hear you. Now, all you real men out there. Yeah, you know who you are.
All you real women out there. All you real women, stand up.
And finally, all you fanboy and fangirls out there. I know you're going to bring it to the house. So come on now. Stand up. We want the choir. But we all need to put a little love in our heart here, ladies and gentlemen.
Well said, Kyle. Thank you again, everybody. Happy holidays. And then until next time, we will see you on the couch. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, YouTube.
Thanks, YouTube. Thanks, everybody.